Hello, happy biggest bar day of the year. I am Jamie Lynch. With me, as always, Renee Washington, Tyler Zulli on this day before Thanksgiving, the biggest bar day of the year where people seem to flood to their local establishments and meet up with old friends and acquaintances and people you've lost contact with, and all the bars. I used to love this day as when I used to live in the city because so many people would leave. The city actually like emptied out some. But yes, everybody, heading home to mom and dad's house or to relatives' house, cousins' houses, and enjoying. I think this is the biggest week of the year for sweatpants. I think tonight, if you're staying home, really just cozy out in some sweatpants. Then tomorrow after Thanksgiving, I usually bring the change of clothes to dinner so that when I get really uncomfortable, that's a veteran move right there. You can have that. That's free.
Wow, free knowledge.
Yeah. And you got to get comfortable after you eat too much tomorrow. And it's just a great week of the year. And then, a lot of people are off Black Friday, cyber surfing. And Black Friday deals, which we'll tell you about ours. And you just kind of it's just like a big lounge weekend. I feel like it's very synonymous with sweatpants to me.
Yeah, okay.
Elastic waistbands, no belts.
No belts. So my typical Thanksgiving in the past, and now I'm mature. I'm an adult now that doesn't do this anymore. But it would be Wednesday night. You're going out, so definitely not in sweatpants. But you're going out to local clubs, bars. You're getting drunk, you're hungover the next day, so you can't really help with a lot of the setup because you're recovering, and then you're recovering in time for food, and that's my parents used to be so mad. Like every year, really, you guys are going to be hungover and not be able to help conveniently, and mom and dad, that's exactly it.
This is my 20s, and this is what I'm doing.
Now I don't do that anymore. Today, with the way the weather is absolutely going to be a sweatpants. I mean, even I'm a casual Wednesday today for sure.
You definitely
super casual.
Yeah.
But also Thanksgiving for me, I don't ever wear jeans. I'm a classic leggings with an oversized sweater, plenty of room. I wear some nice cozy socks because I do go to my parents' house and I'm like, I'm not wearing jeans to my parents' house. No. I used to live there at one point. I'm not wearing jeans. Wear some nice casual socks. I might even bring some slippers too. I go all cozy. I start cozy.
It's cozy season.
It is. And I don't want to be, you're going in plate after plate after plate. Need to make sure you're comfortable, and so I'm not gonna go in with some people really get dressed up for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I don't get that.
Some women wear heels and nice pants and makeup.
It's a day of feasting. You should be comfortable while you feast. I don't want a belt on.
You're getting a fresh face. You're getting a ponytail. Yeah. You're getting leggings. You're doing all that too, right? Of course.
Of course. Yeah, I'm gonna be real dolled up tomorrow. Wait till you see me. But welcome in to everybody. King Crab, Spiral Out, Hypothetical Man in the chat here early. We appreciate all of you. And obviously wish everyone that listens and follows along with us here at PHLY Phillies an awesome holiday ahead. I know I'm looking forward to it. I just did the Eagles show this morning with Bo, and we were talking about your favorite things. Gravy. It's a shame it's not around more throughout the year. I might normalize gravy more often, and I'm not talking Sunday pasta gravy, or as I call it, sauce. The brown gravy. I love gravy. I can't wait tomorrow to just let that
drizzle
on
there.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I mean, listen, gravy is the glue.
Yeah.
Gravy holds it all together. Yeah. It's great when you have some mashed potatoes, or even if on a non-Thanksgiving day, rice or of some sort, and you have that with chicken, beef, pork chops, whatever. It connects it all. I'm all about gravy on all things except when it comes to steak. I gotta have my A1 sauce, but I do love gravy because I don't like dry food.
Yeah.
You know, so if you're eating turkey or chicken or
Makes
something,
you
you drizzle a nice
real loner there, not enjoying dry food.
No, I know,
Everybody
right?
eats dry food.
Well, some people don't mind it, I guess. I mean, it just connects it all. And then you have, with like collard greens, you have the green juice plus the gravy. Like, I want a nice, like, I want my plate to be a little bit soggy, honestly. I'm a soggy person.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I respect that.
Like, I want it to be, because, you know, it's all paper plates for sure. We're not bringing out the fine china for Thanksgiving.
Oh, no?
Not with as many plates as we have. That's a lot
we've
of plates.
kind of shifted from my Aunt Weezy and Uncle Dick hosted for decades, it felt like. And they, you know, you know, the china cabinet comes out, the proper, you know, silverware, like the real silverware comes out and all that. Now that we've shifted to my cousin Tim and Noel's house, I don't recall what they did last year, but I guess we'll
we bring out the fine serving china. You know, there's those nice dishes that are great for serving.
Sure.
You bring those out for Thanksgiving and all the holidays. You know, the pretty holiday themed dishes, but then the actual plates themselves, it's too many plates. That'd be a lot. That'd be a full sink, and that's gross.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's all paper plates and plastic silverware, all of that. And so
certainly
I
much
have,
easier to clean up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Maybe you should switch
I
over.
support
There's
the
my
movement.
nugget for you.
Yeah, I support the
there
movement.
There you go.
Entirely.
Maybe you guys need to switch on over, and when you're celebrating tomorrow, get
I will
some
take
paper
note
products.
of it and maybe advise for the future.
You're
that we
eating
move
multiple plates. So to think of, like, for a nice fancy dinner, if it's like a Sunday dinner and everyone's eating like one plate, all right, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you're going back for seconds, thirds. You have a dessert plate or bowl for your side, because we don't do this. You guys have soups and salads.
Yeah, Bo, I learned
Now
today,
you have
has
that.
soups. They are also on the, or no, excuse me, they're big on the salad, not the soup. He did not mention soup.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. All
Martian
right,
Lynch says she's a 10, but she pours A1 on her steak. Hey, Martian, at least it's not Patrick Mahomes and his psycho level of ketchup.
Gosh, no.
So I make a mean steak, Renee.
I do too.
You won't need A1 on my steak.
See, I talked about this with Tyler before. I like a good steak that does not need A1, but I just love A1
I
sauce.
do love A1
just,
also, but I can't
so
remember the last time I had it, to be honest.
I do enjoy a nice tender steak that's marinated well.
I mean, one of the many perks of being married to me is not only to, clean, laundry, cook. I make a mean steak.
Wow, Jamie's throwing out the resume, guys.
I'm just throwing it out there. My wife is quite lucky. In other words, is what I'm saying.
Basically.
And my girls have become steakheads. Like with a 4 and a 2-year-old, it's like everything's a battle to eat. But if I cook steak, those girls are asking for like third and fourth.
Oh yeah.
It becomes.
What do you make with the steak? That's key too.
Depends on what I grocery shop to go with it. Usually I do a starch and a veg. Very boring.
Love a nice steamed veggie with, of course, like a mashed potato.
I air
or
fry
rice.
a lot of veggies.
Yeah. Oh, that's delicious.
Depends if it's on the grill.
Oh my gosh, guys, we're talking food.
Yeah.
Listen, in the chat really quickly, I want to just run through. Lisa, I'm glad I convinced you to get paper plates. Agreed. I know it's not the fanciest. They make some Thanksgiving paper plates, by the way.
But
they do make some nice holiday themed paper products.
Do you use the plastic utensils too? Because I think that's where you lose me.
Yeah.
Like, I think I go real silverware paper plate.
Because people are using, so now if I'm in your house, you guys are eating soup and salad, you're not using the same utensils for both. You need a soup spoon, a salad fork. Then you go eat your main dish. Your main plate needs all the forks and knives. And then you're coming back for that pie later, which is probably a different spoon. That's like 5 different utensils you'd have to use versus, I mean, obviously I just put it in my mouth and clean it and go in again. But if you have disposable products, you now just throw those away and you don't have a big pile up in the sink. So
but the utensils you can just put in the dishwasher more easily than plateware.
Correct, but who wants to be doing a whole bunch? You're already doing dishes for your
I don't love eating off of plastic silverware. I think I'm halfway in on your suggestion.
Are you eating off of like the clear? Like, I feel like there's different types of cutlery.
Would you say the clear?
Okay, there is some fancier cutlery.
Yes.
That's in the middle. It's not full on plastic, but it's not your heavy silverware. That's usually like holiday. You bring out like the thicker napkins, the thicker plates with the Thanksgiving designs. You bring out the it's like a silver color. So not the clear or white cutlery. It's like a silver. It's a little in between.
Before I commit, I think I'm going to have to go around and do a bite test. With all the different types of plastic silverware and find out which is holiday appropriate. But you're on the right track. You're on to something.
So in the chat, we've got some thoughts. I know, Lisa, you're saying Non-plastic utensils for the meal, plastic for desserts. I also like that too. Maybe there's a way.
Okay, maybe a course.
It could be a mix. It could absolutely be a mix. Right. I just think for plates specifically, it makes sense to have paper plates with how many times people are going back for seconds, thirds, and fourths. If you can't handle the dishes, you can't host, apparently, Spiralot is saying.
That's a fair point.
Okay.
I mean, it is the biggest pain of hosting.
It's a lot of dishes that you're dealing with.
Yeah, we're just trying to work smarter, not harder.
For sure. Jersey Cav, welcome in. Jersey Cav, repping my home state. You said real forks and knives and spoon, but paper plates. Okay, again, a nice mixture and a blend. Domesticated men unite.
Yeah.
King Krabs is asking if you do catering, Uncle Jamie.
I've thought about that.
Jamie's catering.
When I was like, some of my first jobs were lifeguarding and catering. And I always I've worked in the food service industry my entire life, basically, to supplement my media career until a certain point, and then I was able to leave it behind. But I've always thought about catering. I think it would be fun.
Yeah.
To like run a catering company. It's hard ass work.
It is.
But I think that would be pretty fun.
Hey, maybe it can be your side hustle.
Yeah.
And then I know if you scroll up, our first person today was Hypothetical Man. I love that you guys are always in a race to see who can be first. And then I did see some comments on King Krabs. Thank you, King Krabs, for your compliment. I'm just going to say thank you for your juicy compliment. Appreciate that. All right.
King Krabs might be the horniest man online. Or maybe it's a woman. I'm not here. I don't know. What are you, King Krabs?
This is true.
King?
I would love to have a day where all of our usuals can expose themselves. Oh, no.
What? Renee P. Washington. What was it,
Let me
Patricia?
try that again. No.
Let's see if I can remember. Patrice.
I am Patrice.
Yes.
Let me try that again. I love to have a day where all of our usual suspects can show their faces.
Okay.
And we can see who they really are.
Yeah.
In their faces.
Mm-hmm.
Faces.
That's what you want. All right.
Neck up. Faces.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good Lord.
Hopefully we do have, a Phillies, some viewing parties, some tailgates where we can meet a bunch of you people in the very near future, because this is a fun little family we're building here online.
Yeah.
And
PHLY Phillies family.
Yeah, I would love to meet everybody. So hopefully that'll happen.
And we can sing our Thanksgiving songs.
My daughter Skylar trotted out her Thanksgiving song that she learned at school yesterday for us. We'll see if she buckles under the spotlight at the big Thanksgiving table, because I think
you're gonna make her try to sing.
Not like force her, but we'll offer her the opportunity.
Oh.
Because I think it would be one of the effing cutest things I've ever seen.
Oh, does she know this? Did you prepare her?
When she sung it to my wife yesterday, she was like, "Oh, we'll have to do that at the table." So we laid like a little, a little seed.
Okay.
But
soft launch. Okay.
I expect a buckle under the big spotlight, and then we'll just say we move on.
Yeah, kids always change under the spotlight.
Yeah.
And it could be for good things. Sometimes they'll like show out, and sometimes they'll be like, okay.
I think of my two girls, Paige, the youngest, is going to be the one that steps up in the spotlight.
It's usually the second child.
Showman, whereas Skylar's more the sweet, reserved one.
I get that.
Yeah.
That's classic second child syndrome, for sure.
So, you guys are here for Phillies, huh? Or should we just talk Thanksgiving all day? But yes, the Phillies are why we're here. As our friends at Wheelhouse Cards say, sports is what unites us all. So we're here talking Phillies. I was reading a lot about the Phillies last night, reading every article I can get my eyes on. And the one thing that seems to be resurfacing is something that we talked about, I don't know, like as soon as the season ended, maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And that was... Martian Lynch really wants, maybe as your Thanksgiving gift to Martian Lynch today, you can sing him Let It Burn.
You clearly loved my singing.
He's asked for it every day. You might have to give it to him as a Thanksgiving
I think today
gift.
should be the day.
Yeah. So in reading last night, Bob Nightingale over the weekend wrote this, and I missed it over the weekend, found it last night in my reading. And then obviously Dombrowski and John Middleton and the Aaron Nola press conference on Monday made some comments themselves. Bryce Harper is very underpaid. John Middleton himself has said that. This is the Phillies' MO, to go long years and keep the annual average salary down. But Bob Nightingale over the weekend mentioned that both sides could be meeting very soon with the goal of paying him more than his $26 million per year. John Middleton on Monday went on to say he wants to play longer than his contract. So if he's going to still feel that way in the long term, we're going to have to address that issue at some point. It's not as simple as do you address it today or tomorrow or next year or 2 years from now. But the intention remains the same. I want Bryce Harper to wear a Phillies uniform until the day he stops wearing a baseball uniform at all. And when that happens, I want him to switch into a long-term relationship like Mike Schmidt or Larry Boa has had with the team. So I expect Bryce to be a Philly for decades, long after I'm gone. Am I a bad guy to say I don't want years added on to the end of this and just say pay the man more annually now? Because, yes, he might be able to play till he's 45, and switching to first base might prolong his career. But at age, I think his contract's over at age 42. That for me is like okay, let's wait and see until you're actually 42 what your production is. I don't really want to tack on more years. I would rather just pay him more money annually. Am I a bad person, Renee, or am I okay? Am I safe?
I think you're safe.
Are you going to cancel me?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
You're not canceled. You're
right.
still active. Listen, Bryce Harper just turned 31 1 month ago.
Yeah.
And my fellow 92 baby, listen, the 30s hit a little bit different. They hit very different. I love the fact that Bryce Harper ambitiously has been saying he wants to play until he's 45. But I also want to be realistic. I mean, as a professional athlete, the years just wear on your body. And not only that, but after a while, mentally, you're playing so many games. You've got 2 young children. I don't know the plans for him and for Kayla in the future with their family and what they want to do as a family. But, I'm sure he's going to at some point also want to be there for more of his kids' first days and when they're playing sports and things like that. Those are the types of things outside of the sport itself, I feel like, that typically sway athletes to want to maybe start to look to be Bryce Harper the dad, Bryce Harper the T-ball coach.
Where Jason Kelce is right now.
Right, where Jason Kelce is, because you do start to feel like I've done a lot. Especially, here's the other thing that I think will help. Winning a World Series will absolutely help expedite things. I imagine if Bryce Harper doesn't get that ring, and as we talked about, it should be the next couple of years that it happens. If Bryce Harper doesn't get a title, then I think I want to play as long as I can because I want to win a World Series. But I imagine if Bryce Harper can continue checking off some major milestones, boxes, history, records, that number 45 doesn't seem so appealing anymore because your kids right now are, what are they, 2 years old?
They're a little bit younger than my kids,
his son is,
so I want to say like 3 and a half.
Yeah, like they're young. I mean,
2.
we're talking 14 years from now.
Yeah.
That's a long
That's graduating
time.
high school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that means you're missing a lot. And so he seems like a very family-oriented Lord, I'm reading the chat. 80s babies greater than 90s babies.
Oh, yeah, spiral out.
Whatever. Team 90s babies. Woo woo. But I will say, T-Zool.
You kids.
I will say, hypothetical
Wi-Fi.
man's making a good point. All he knows is baseball. But that's where I also feel like with his kids, that's where it's going to start to change. Like Bryce Harper has been, obviously baseball has been through and through in his life from day one. But I think now as he starts we see him out at more games. We see him out doing more with his family. I think we will start to see that shift. And I don't think it's going to happen now. I imagine in the next few years. I mean, you know what it's like having 2 young kids.
It's exhausting.
Okay, that's not what I meant. But
no, it's great, but like it takes a toll on
it takes a toll.
You're just you don't really get downtime,
right?
Anymore,
and while I think that he's probably not stay-at-home dad Jamie, I
don't have the resources of the Harper family, so I do think there's chance if Bryce wants to take a nap in his own house, he can go take a nap.
He's probably taking naps. For sure.
We're a little different in terms of our financial stability.
I see no differences. You seem like the same person. Right. You, Bryce, it's like I've never seen you in the same room together. So for all I know, who knows? But either way, I do think that this is going to be something that right now he's in kind of like the high of his career. It's a peak. It's exciting.
That's why
And I think that's why he's saying, I want to play at some 45, but eventually reality hits a little differently in the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's why if I'm John Middleton, I go, look, Bryce, let's not get into the contract in our 40s. Let me just pay you more annually now. While you're in your prime, while you're the face of baseball.
Bless you,
because
Tyler.
he does make $26 million a year. And Scott Boras was kind of against the way Bryce Harper went about this contract, which was team friendly, because Bryce wants to win and he wanted the team to have an ability to build a World Series champion team around him. But now, you've come close. You still want to win, obviously, all that stuff. You start to look around baseball, and I believe he's 26th in baseball in terms of annual average salary. So if you remove the pitchers from this equation, here's the position players that make more per year than Bryce Harper does. Aaron Judge last year kind of reset the market for the position player. He signed last December for $40 million a year. If I'm a GM, do I want Aaron Judge or Bryce Harper? It's a damn good debate. I would probably lean Bryce Harper myself personally, just because I think he gives you a little more than Judge does, but there's no wrong answer there. But that's $14 million difference. Mike Trout makes $36 million a year. When healthy, no denying how great he is. Carlos Correa, 35.1. Now, this one probably sticks in the craw.
Okay.
Did I do it right?
Yeah.
Anthony Rendon, $35 million per year. He's making $9 more million per year than Bryce Harper. That's got to eat you up a little bit inside.
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor makes 34.1. Nolan Arenado's making 33.5. Carlos Correa, 33.3. Corey Seager, World Series champion now, 32.5.
Okay.
Rafael Devers, 31.3. Miguel Cabrera, $31 million this past year. Mookie Betts, Jose Altuve, Manny Machado. So all those guys are ahead of them, and you can make the case that Bryce Harper, Betts is unbelievable. Most of these players are pretty damn good, but you can make the case that Bryce Harper is equal to almost all of them. So if this is something they want to address, I'd rather not pay him into age 43, 44. I'd rather just pay him more now up front, but I'm not John Middleton and Dave Dombrowski, who are apparently going to have these conversations with Scott Boras in the very near future.
Yeah, I'm all for paying more, not more years. I agree with you on that, Jamie. I know, Lisa, you're saying things went downhill physically after 40. Relative Timeworks is saying if Harper can recruit Yamamoto, he gets a blank check from me. Listen, I definitely love and see the value, which is why I think that Bryce Harper, without a doubt, makes sense to reconstruct his contract and try to add more money. Yeah, for sure. It's possible. It's something that we've seen happen. And I know just as recently as Patrick Mahomes, who just got beat by the Eagles Monday night. We saw that with the Chiefs. So it's when you have the market is changing. At one point, Bryce Harper's contract was the biggest deal. And now we're seeing more and more contracts that are passing that, where it's time to have a conversation again. So I know ambitiously, again, the goal for him, he wants to play into his 40s. We love that, Bryce. Why not? There are people that are playing into their 40s across sports. It's doable. It's not impossible.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But he's about to watch Cody Bellinger sign a deal for probably more annually than him.
Exactly. So you need to make more money annually.
It's just human nature to see that and have it bother you. Yeah. That's not something
gosh, I'm bothered by it. I'm not even the one getting the checks.
Yeah, you can't control how you feel, but if he goes and sees Cody Bellinger sign for $35 million per year or something crazy because the Giants are desperate and other big market clubs are desperate, they might just throw it at him. Yeah. That's going to eat him up.
You've got to make him happy, though.
Yeah, it's just something you should nip in the bud and take care of now.
Happy wife, happy life, happy Harper, happy Phillies. Listen, you have to go on, because this has been consistently coming up. You absolutely have to make sure you're paying him.
Yeah,
his Boras has said he didn't agree with things with the opt out and the terms and clauses.
I think Scott Boras called up Bob Nightingale on Friday or Saturday, and we're like, "Hey, I want to ramp up the pressure on the Phillies again, real quick. Can you write a little nugget that we want a new contract here in no time? Thanks, old Bobby boy.
It's time. It's time. Listen, the Phillies are right now. This is a great time to do it, also because the Phillies are right now spending a lot.
And they're in the prime of this championship
so this is the
window.
time to be having that conversation. You do. This is a great negotiating tool. This is like negotiating 101. And for Scott Boras and Bryce Harper to be actively, continuously keeping this narrative up that Bryce wants to get paid more, but also wants to stay with the Phillies, wants to play until he's 45. Even as we talked about before, him saying those types of things are like, all right, you want to be a Philly forever. We want to have you here forever.
John Middleton's not doing himself any favors in the negotiation.
He's not. He's not helping. We want him to be a Philly forever. And it's like, we do too, but you don't have to say that. Yeah.
You said the quiet part out loud, John.
On video, you're saying, we can clearly see you saying it in that video from last year. You're underpaid.
So Red Fox Tucker says, and this is a good point. The deal takes him until he's 39. I could see them adding 2 years. They could, if that's what makes Bryce happy. I would just think he wants more money now. But either way, it's interesting that that's something that's going to be a part of this Phillies offseason. In addition to Zach Wheeler, it certainly feels like that's something where they want to get Zach Wheeler under club control for, I would say, another at least 3 years, maybe you push it to 4. So 2 of your main staples are going to be people you have to negotiate with.
Yeah.
And somewhere you don't have to negotiate, Renee? Because they always give you the fair price guarantee. That's at our friends at GameTime. Use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. I've recently used GameTime a bunch. I went to a comedy show and a concert and used GameTime each time. The $20 off was great, obviously. But my favorite part of it was the seat view. In the app, you can just look at the seat. You know exactly the sight lines you're getting for whatever show you're seeing. And, of course, they do theater. I would imagine the seat view is very important in theater. I was a bit of a Broadway nerd as a kid. Bet you didn't see that one coming.
No, I could see it.
Phantom of the Opera, actually.
Oh, no, I couldn't see it.
I used to love Phantom of the Opera. It's dark. Anyway, you want to know where you're sitting.
What's the Phantom of the Opera song?
What is the most famous?
Sing it.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Sing it. I'm not doing it.
I don't know
GameTime
it.
doesn't pay me to sing, and the people in the chat don't want to hear me sing, Renee.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I was going to see Phantom of the Opera in Philadelphia, you know who's actually coming to town that I'm thinking about using GameTime for? This will probably bring back some childhood memories for you. Guess who's coming to the Met in March?
Childhood
Rafi.
memories.
Rafi. Were you a Rafi girl?
Rafi. Sing a song.
Banana Phone. Baby Beluga.
Baby Beluga.
Baby Beluga. I know what you're doing. In the deep blue sea, you swim so wild and you swim so free. Anyway, my girl's a big Rafi fan, so we were thinking about getting the tickets for Christmas.
Success!
Yes, and I will be using the GameTime app. It is the place I use. It's the fastest growing ticket app in the country. They have flash deals and last minute tickets, and finding tickets should not be a pain. It's easy with a low price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection, etc. GameTime is there for you. Buy tickets directly in a matter of seconds. 2 taps and you're set. Utah, make it 2. Tickets are sent directly to your phone and you never have to dig through your emails. So snag the tickets without the stress with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code PHLY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHLY for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So yes, an interesting wrinkle of the offseason is obviously the Bryce Harper and Zach Wheeler extensions here. I would think they are top priorities. And the way Dave Dombrowski talked on Monday, Renee, was there was 2 things that jumped out to me as like, I hope you don't mean that. One is that the rotation is set. And if it is set, I'm fine with it. I think Christopher Sanchez made himself a viable starting option. Taijuan Walker, you paid a lot of money to. You're not going to upgrade there. The only way you get involved in the starting pitching race is if Yamamoto actually has interest in you. Then you consider throwing caution to the wind. Or 2, if Tyler's boy, Tyler Glasnow, becomes available on the cheap, then Christopher Sanchez can become that middle relief bullpen there in case somebody gets hurt, or Taijuan Walker can, however you play it. You really would be stacked at the starting rotation. So I kind of believe him a little bit to a degree there. But the one that went like, dude, what? Am I taking crazy pills? He said there was no glaring holes on the roster. Now, obviously, you're not trying to play your hand in free agency in a press conference. But am I crazy that they need an outfielder? Particularly a right-handed hitting outfielder? I am in no way comfortable with this current outfield group. Brandon Marsh, I like. Nick Castellanos, I like. That's only 2 positions, Renee. There is a third position, which I would classify as a glaring hole.
Yeah.
Is that just press? Because I don't believe press conference. Is that just press conference talk?
I believe so. So
it has to be a glaring hole.
So Dave Dombrowski's got a lot of things in there. And I know I talked a lot about what Aaron Nola was saying in the press conference and left out some things that Dave said. But as you talk about, he was asked about, now what, essentially. And he said that, the Phillies are now in a position to evaluate other areas that can make our club better. The infield is basically set. The outfield still has some question with a young player still trying to figure things out. And he did say the no glaring need, which of course that jumps off the page. But he did also say the outfield has some question with a young player, Yoro, still trying to figure things out. He did say the starting pitcher was the need, which obviously we know. And now the 5 starters are set, as you mentioned. So it's the no glaring need term, I don't think sits well with people because it does feel like a glaring need. But I do feel like he was just trying to say things in the politically correct, positive, optimistic way of like, we've got our starting pitcher, we've got our 5 starters now set, we're good, we're in a great place, knowing good and well that the Phillies still have holes that need to be filled.
Yeah, cool to be me in the chat says, I don't think he meant that. I think in baseball circles, it's well known he never stopped shopping.
Like, yes, I agree.
And we read that from the Jason Stark article the other day that, yes, he never stopped shopping. He's probably just saying that, but I would classify outfielder as a glaring need.
I definitely think it's a huge need because we saw the difference come postseason, especially how that was a factor. You need to have an outfielder that also can give you good at-bats, and that is one of the weak areas for the Phillies. When you look at the infield, I agree, it is very set, especially with Bryce Harper locking in at first base. But glaring, as Greg and MC is saying in the chat, is a strong word.
He's trying to get off on the technicality of there's no, but it is a strong need to me because you don't have that third outfielder.
I think
Johan Rojas is not starting the year.
Starting pitcher
Christian
was a
Pache
glaring
should not be the starting
need.
center fielder. Yes, that was more glaring than the outfield, but come on.
I think he was just giving a fluffy answer because
I think you're right.
Everything he was saying, like he kind of worked in a roundabout way of saying we're still addressing the outfield with a young player, which I love the fact he didn't use Yoro's name because clearly he was thinking like in this moment I should job Yoro because PHLY Phillies podcast has made Johan Rojas a nickname. But
is that what it is?
That's what it was. That's why he had to like tiptoe around it. You know, he couldn't just come right out and say it, but he was tiptoeing. And I was reading between the lines, Dave. I'm here. I'm locked in. So I think it's without a doubt a sign that they're comfortable with the starting pitching, but they now are going to be focusing on other areas. And that's kind of what the biggest point that I took away from it was. Now it's time to evaluate. They're not desperate, they're not concerned, they're not worried, but they know there's needs out there that they have to evaluate other areas.
Yeah,
so
I think they need bullpen help, they need an outfielder, they need a better bench player. So, use it whatever adjective you want to describe it.
I wanted to add to actually some other things that Dave was saying and has come out to say since then. Of course, he was talking a lot about Aaron Nola in the press conference since it was Aaron Nola's presser specifically. And so he was also saying, that the Phillies weren't close to a decision at the start of free agency with Nola, as we know, and it took time to hear Nola's needs, but, sometimes you have to make compromises, and that's what the market plays. And they had to go to certain lengths. They feel like Nola's a hard worker. We know, as we always talk about, he's durable. Sometimes they even have to scale him back from working too hard. And that September's, he's pitched well year in, year out in the last few years. He's getting better all the time. And that late in the season, he liked the adjustments that Nola made. And he said, when you put it all together, you have to compromise because the Phillies want to win and they want to have Nola. They have confidence that they want to have him as their starting pitcher, but they were not confident that Nola would sign. So we were not far off on the show. We were talking a lot about we're not really sure if Aaron Nola is going to come back. I want to ask, Dave Dombrowski was saying, to be honest, I was not confident. I knew Aaron Nola loved it here, and we knew Hunter loved it here. But anytime someone enters free agency, you never know what can happen. He was hopeful, like we all were, but giving the time frame, he's like, we're just happy that we got it done early, but they were not confident. So that part we were not far off on because nobody's confident when it comes to free agency.
Yeah. So oddly enough, I actually listened to Aaron Nola this morning on my ride in with my buddies Joe DeCamera over there at WIP, and Aaron Nola came on, and I told you before the show, I listened to the whole interview, and I find Aaron Nola to be like very likable and very grounded, very real, very appreciative. The takeaway I took from it was, and I think it was Matt Gelb said the Braves were actually a real suitor, refuting some other reports that said they weren't really
Got
that
comments
serious.
on that too.
The thing I took away from the Aaron Nola press conference today was, I think the vibe of all the players in that clubhouse, they absolutely love it here.
Yeah.
And Aaron Nola talked about, seeing the downturn when he first got here to what it is now. And I think every player in that locker room genuinely loves it here because he said it a couple times. All the guys in that locker room want to win. And that's not always the case in sports. And I think a lot of these guys are pretty selfless for as big and as accomplished as players as they are. But Aaron Nola came off great. He came off as a guy that really loves it here, that wants to raise his soon-to-be daughter here for the next 7 years. And he talked about the mechanical changes he made in the second half of the season. And in August, he said, I started really feeling great. I made those mechanical changes. And hopefully that's something now with the offseason and the pitch clock and it not being a new kind of twist in the game anymore, that Aaron Nola, hopefully this year, and I do believe this, I think we're going to get a much better Aaron Nola this season than we did last season.
Yeah, I believe it. I hope so, honestly. And I know people in the chat are jumping on their thoughts on Nola as well. I do think it's obviously the RAV4 fourth inning that has everybody, let's all agree, it is the fourth inning that has everybody frustrated with Aaron Nola. But in terms of his personality, and I know, Jamie, you and I were talking about this before the show, I think it's tough because you look at Bryce Harper, Jalen Hurts, Tyrese Maxey, Travis Konechny, Ali Bedoya, Andre
TK.
Blake. You look across Philly sports, and the difference is we, as fans, tend to like the guys that are more fiery and like
Brian Dawkins,
passionate, and let's go. The energy just. You can feel it through the screen. Aaron Nola is not that guy. He's going to give you a casual hat tip. Yeah. He's very mild-mannered. He's, you might get a little emotion. You saw a tear trickling down his cheek. You get a little emotion here and there.
But I think that's what makes him great.
It's more of like a calm emotion. So that's why I said he was just like a goober yesterday on the show, because that's Aaron Nola. He's that down-to-earth guy, like we said, that you could see driving a station wagon.
Sure.
There's some athletes I put in the conversation of, like a Kirk Cousins and Aaron Nola, where they're just very much, if you saw them in the grocery store, you would not think they were a professional athlete. Yeah. You think they were like Joe Schmo that's, milks cows or something like that. Like, he does not come across like a big time, athlete like he is. And I know in the chat, you guys are saying the same. No, not cocky. Probably would show up and be like, at Thanksgiving or something and say like, can I do the dishes? I could see him being that guy that's just very low key. So I agree with that. I think it's all the RAV4 fourth inning for everybody. He's a likable guy, and that's why Dave Dombrowski was saying in terms of the Braves specifically that the focus was not only on re-signing Aaron Nola to the Phillies, but also making sure he did not go somewhere else. So Dave Dombrowski was speaking on it, and he was like, it was most important that we kept him for ourselves. And he was saying this with the Inquirer. And he said, but I sure wouldn't have wanted him to go to Atlanta either, or somebody that's in our own division. So he has been, Dave, much like us, and everybody, nobody wanted to see Aaron Nola in Atlanta. And the focus was on keeping Nola. Most importantly was to re-sign him to the Phillies, but then second, in my opinion, on the tier was to make sure he didn't go to any, NL East teams, especially the Braves.
So Joe did ask him, how weird would it have been for you to put on an Atlanta Braves uniform? And he didn't deny it. And he did say he left money on the table again. He reiterated that.
Yeah.
He quickly, Media Savvy Pro, just said, I'm really thankful to be back here, keeping on the uniform that means that much to me. So
I like that.
So it was pretty good. He didn't directly answer the Braves thing, but my takeaway from it was, yes, the Atlanta Braves were very much in contention for Aaron Nola.
Yeah.
That being said, Tyler Zulli, a real baseball sicko, sick in the head. He's a seam head. Yesterday created 2 trade proposals for us. We talked about the need in outfield. Maybe that bench player, maybe bullpen, maybe starting pitching still. Who knows? Tyler, and he put the trades out on social media yesterday. Got a lot of reaction on his Luis Robert trade proposal, which because it included the name Andrew Painter in it, and a lot of people just react to that and don't realize. I think it was a fairly discussed trade. Anyway, these have been a lot of fun. I'm enjoying them. You're enjoying them. I think the listeners are enjoying them. So I've told Tyler to create 2 sicko trades for the foreseeable future. We'll see how far he can go in terms of somewhat realistic trade scenarios for the Phillies.
Now, before we get into our triple T of Tyler's trade talk, let's tell you where else you can go and enjoy yourself. That's over at FOCO, because FOCO allows you to be able to purchase any merchandise, collectibles, bobbleheads, toys, hats, sweatshirts, t-shirts, slippers, whatever it is you're looking to buy. You can head over to FOCO, use the code PHLY that's on your screen, get 10% off of your purchase. And over at FOCO, you can now rock and represent your favorite squads, favorite players, whether it is Bryce or Jalen or Aaron or Garrett, whoever it is. You can go over to FOCO and make sure that you are purchasing some great merchandise and apparel. So use that code again, PHLY, for 10% off of your order at FOCO. All right, well, we're
the
coining
triple T,
it.
Is that what
We're coining it the triple T. It's Tyler's trade talk, because Tyler likes to give us some hypothetical proposals of possible trades the Phillies can do to strengthen the roster.
I'm excited.
So let's
love
get
this.
into it. TTT.
There's going to be a point in the offseason where I've run out of players, and it's going to be like, all right, the Phillies acquire that whack-ass dinosaur from Colorado.
And I'm going to pull to you and
for
say,
a bucket
that's
of
not a real
balls.
person. I'm going to be like, that's not a real
Oh, no, I'm
baseball
going to start trading mascots soon.
Oh, Lord.
So, Jamie, you were calling for outfield help, and this one is interesting because this guy just opted it. Well, the team opted into the final year of his deal on a club
makes
option.
him tradable right away.
However, I will say this: good teams generally don't trade away players that they want to help compete, but this team has a plethora of outfield depth, and I'm wondering if this is the guy because he's on a 1-year deal. And by the way, this is a stipulation that when you acquire this guy, you go and get a right-handed outfield bat to balance the scale a little bit. But this is your first trade, and let me know what you guys think.
So the Phillies, for the podcast listeners, would receive Max Kepler, and the Twins would get Ethan Wilson, the Phillies' 16th ranked prospect, shortstop Brian Rincon, the 28th prospect, and Derek Hall. I'm in, because I don't think you're giving up anything, and you're getting a decent veteran type player back in return that I think can help you. I'm not putting, I'm not going out with pots and pans up and down Broad Street and excitement, but I think this is the neighborhood of moves the Phillies could be in. Derek Hall, I don't think is going to be it. I know it sucks. He got an injury last year that kind of prevented him from that, but I don't mind giving him up. I don't mind Rincon. A lot of people in the system seem to like as somebody that can take that next step. But overall, yes, I'm in on that deal to get Max Kepler here. He's an above 300 hitter, above 300 on base guy that you can rely on consistently, kind of lowish average.
Yeah.
Can give you decent RBIs at times.
Got some pop.
He does have a little bit of pop. His career high for home runs is 36, had 24 last year, and he is right-handed, correct? I believe.
No, he's left-handed.
He's lefty?
He's left-handed.
I wouldn't say.
Yeah,
I think the right-left thing gets a little overblown
and
at times.
that's why I add to this the stipulation that you're going to acquire a right-handed bat. Not to say off
Somewhere
the bench,
else.
and not to say that I think that Kepler would get more at bats than the right-handed hitter would, but you're supplementing it in some capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a 2.9 WAR last year, which is pretty decent. I would do that deal. Renee, you in?
I would. And the fact you have Derek Hall in that deal actually makes me more interested in it because, as you mentioned, injuries. I think he's a good piece to add into a trade. Now, Max Kepler, I agree with you, as an outfielder would be a nice help. 30 years old, in a great point of his career, but also gives you good at bats with his 114 hits last year and 72 runs. And so I'd take that deal. I think it absolutely works. I know in the chat you guys are saying yes. Hypothetical man, you said you probably want to keep Rincon. I know also Spiral Out did get on me. He caught the Garrett Stubbs drop I did in Foco. I did that just for you, Jamie. That was just for you, buddy. But yeah, I would take this. And Tyreek Bailey, glad you can join us and just in time because we're talking Triple T, Tyler's trade talk. And for trade number 1, we like it. We're in.
I think with trade number 1 as well, guys, the overwhelming sense that I would get with the Twins knowing that they have a plethora of outfield help, but they'd probably want somebody back who may be able to get towards Major League Baseball quickly. The counter argument, they would probably ask for Carlos De La Cruz. But the thing is, I didn't add Carlos De La Cruz to this list because I don't know. The Rule 5 draft happens in, 2 weeks or something like that?
the last day of the winter meeting, so January
There's
8th.
a plausibility that he may end up being selected in the Rule 5 draft by somebody anyway. Sure. So I don't think until that happens that the Twins would take would be willing to take on a guy like De La Cruz because they might lose him in 2 weeks. So I think that De La Cruz would make this trade probably more palatable for the Twins once the trade or the Rule 5 happens. Sure. He is the Phillies' number 5 prospect, but I'm not sure what he provides them, the Phillies, long term.
All right, let's see what your sicko trade number 2 is on the day.
All right, we're going back to starting pitching.
Of course we are.
This is where my brain goes like.
And what would you do? Would you bump Walker to middle relief? Would you bump Sanchez down?
Bump Walker to.
But you're paying him a lot of money, so that's not
Mars.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, show us what you got.
All right, so here's your second trade option.
Phillies get Paul Blackburn from the Athletics. He's a name I've seen mentioned. And this is real sicko stuff, Tyler. And the A's would get, and we all know the A's like to sell pieces constantly. It's their baseline. The A's would get Micah Otenbrett, number 17 prospect. And Tyler, I'm just going to say this. I don't think he's a real person. And Raylin Heredia. Again, I don't think a real person.
This is probably an underbuy by the Phillies, but like we talked about, the A's don't like to spend any money.
They don't. They love prospects.
My thing is, who?
I can't say I am dying to protect those prospects by any means. So the issue becomes, does Blackburn give you enough where he's better than what you have and worth pushing one of those guys out?
All right. So Blackburn, and no, Blackburn does not get a Let It Burn song because he's Blackburn. Blackburn this past season for the Oakland, soon to be Vegas A's. Now in 21 games played, 4-7 record, finished with a 4.43 ERA, a 1.54 WHIP in his 103 2/3 innings pitched, 104 strikeouts. I mean, I actually think for the Phillies it would make sense. I don't know that the A's would take it. I think
they probably
it's
would
because
they hate paying people and they love prospects.
Well, like I said to you guys, I think that this is probably an underbuy by the Phillies.
You get another pitching arm.
The A's would probably ask for more back.
Yeah, I think that's. I think for the Phillies to be able to have another pitcher that you bring in, sure, and then it would be a matter of if the A's would be comfortable with this trade, but that's not our problem.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it, especially if he can help you out in that middle relief kind of bullpen type role in another situation, which he might be able to. It looks like earlier in his career he was maybe in that role. Tough to tell as I'm reading through the baseball reference page.
He really kind of exploded onto the scene last year, had a really good first 3 months, and then made the All-Star team with the A's, struggled a little bit in the second half. Last year he really battled injury. But I think that he is a guy that is not going to blow you away with anything in particular. But I think that, and again, he may have succeeded because the Coliseum is a literal jet engine hangar, it's ridiculously large. And maybe that doesn't play at CBP, but I would take the chance on a buy low situation because I don't think that the A's are going to compete, and they're going to look to move him soon. I think he's got 1 year left of arbitration, maybe 2, and they're probably going to look to move him soon. All
right, that is truly some sicko shit, Tyler. You're twisted in the head, and I love it. So we'll continue doing these trade hypotheticals because I always enjoy talking about them for sure. But before we get to the Hall of Fame class, just couple quick notes around Major League Baseball and the hot stove last night. John Morosi believes that the Cubs are going to be real suitors for Shohei Ohtani. which is pretty interesting. I got to say, I don't want him in the NL, obviously, but the thought of him playing at Wrigley is kind of baseball cool.
Everybody's interested is every day a new name.
He's saying like they're actually going to be legitimate suitors for him.
And so are the Dodgers allegedly for
would consider them.
Ohtani and Yamamoto. I mean, it's just like
he's going to be hitting balls out of Wrigley like at a freakish rate.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool to see him in Wrigley personally. That's the only reason I bring it up.
No, it's valid. I mean, we've heard the Cubs, we've heard the Dodgers as two of the more consistent teams that every day are involved in some sort of rumors, because I also was reading about how the Dodgers are looking to actively bring in Ohtani and Yamamoto.
Yeah. And then baseball heaven. I hate to see him down so bad, but the St. Louis Cardinals make a move yesterday. We know him here. They bring in Kyle Gibson on a 1-year, $12 million deal to pair with Lance Lynn, who they brought in the day prior on a 1-year, $10 million deal. You hate to see baseball heaven down so bad.
You know what I thoroughly enjoy about
Gibson.
this Kyle Gibson deal, as he's on his third team in 3 years, is the fact that we were all worried about, you know, a Phillies pitcher going to St. Louis, and one did. It wasn't Aaron Nola. They still got a Phillies pitcher. It seemed like they really wanted to bring in a guy that's worn a Phillies uniform before. But Kyle Gibson, yeah, I mean, 3 teams in 3 years, and last year had an okay season. I guess you can call it that, but 15-9 record with a 4.73 ERA last season. Third most innings pitched of his career. Maybe it was a rebound year.
I mean,
for
he
him.
did start the year strong, and then I think it came back to reality. If Kyle Gibson is anything more than like your 4th or 5th starter, you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
So St. Louis just wanted to kind of at you, because ever since Scott Rowland left for baseball heaven, I've always hated the Cardinals. They're just a team I hate.
Yeah,
so
Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson. That's quite some moves that St. Louis is making.
King Kraft says that's nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
If that was, and again, this just makes you appreciate being a Phillies fan a little bit more. That we're not at the stage of bringing in Lance Lynn and Kyle Gibson, because man, that's kind of depressing. You know what's not depressing, Renee? That's our Black Friday event going on starting on the 24th on Friday through the 27th. You can get 25% off our entire PHLY locker. You can head to PHLYlocker.com to find our locker. And if you spend $75 or more, you're going to get $15 back in a gift card. Again, the Black Friday event going on Friday through Monday, the 27th. So make sure you're checking that out. The hoodies are extremely comfortable, and the T-shirts are as well. Now, we didn't get to this yesterday. I want to get to it before we get to Guess That Ballpark. And
are you going to try to go through all these names?
No.
Or you want to just do some?
I just want to do this kind of quickly, like gut check. Yes or no. We don't need to deep dive each player. I just want to get the 3 of us. And when I do Hall of Fame stuff, I like to do the gut check and then the deep dive. So like Jose Bautista, for example, is on the ballot this year. I asked Tyler this earlier. I said, gut check, where are you at? And he was with me, which was no. But he said, oh, I just deep dove his stats. Maybe yes. So I just want to do gut check here.
Okay, and then
what
we'll
does your
deep dive
gut say? So Jose Bautista, my gut check said no. How about you?
I also said no.
And Tyler, you were also a no originally.
Yeah, it's a no for me.
The gut check was no. So Tyler made this
Joey Bats.
This graphic here for Phillies legend Jose Bautista. Played 15 years. Career slash lines of 247, 361, 475. Had 344 home runs, just shy of 1,000 RBIs. He led the majors in those 2 years when he was flipping bats all over Toronto in 2010 and 11. 6-time All-Star, 5 seasons over 100 RBIs, and 4 seasons over 35 home runs. I think a great power hitter that's on the doorstep but not in. And Tyler, does your dive of his numbers make you believe more that he's a Hall of Famer or less?
No, I'll be honest. I think that he had a really nice 3 or 4 year stretch. But unless you're Sandy Koufax and you light the world on fire for 6 years and then your arm falls apart and they don't have Tommy John to help you.
Ryan Howard did.
So that was a conversation for another day that that I was talking to Vince and he was comparing Ryan Howard to Sandy Koufax. And I think that that's extremely unfair. But I think that
historic 5-year stretch.
Jose Bautista's sample size is too small, and the outliers are too great to the point of he was bad far more frequently than he was good. The answer for me is no.
Yeah,
I think when you have a bad start and end to your career, and I wrote down like he had, a good stretch of 4 or 5 seasons. I don't think that's enough to have you be in the Hall of Fame conversation. Top power hitter in those years, though. Don't get me wrong, but no, Joey Bats, it's a no.
All right, I think this guy is maybe the most underrated Major League Baseball player of the last 25 years, and that's Adrian Beltre. I don't think he gets talked about enough for as great as he was and consistently great throughout his career. Jason Stark actually just wrote a piece on The Athletic yesterday asking the question, and he makes the case, could Adrian Beltre become the first position player to be a unanimous first ballot elect into the Hall of Fame? And he lays out a pretty decent case for him. So he played 21 years, which is crazy. Career slash line of 286, 339, 434, just shy of 500 home runs, which is almost a lock to make the Hall of Fame. 1,700 RBIs. Not only that, he's a 5-time Gold Glove winner, 4-time Silver Slugger winner, almost 3,200 hits.
No, Lord.
For 18th all-time in baseball. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's somehow underappreciated, and Adrian Beltre is unbelievable.
So
gut check. Yeah,
absolutely.
I was going to say gut check.
One of the best third basemen of all time. I saw that this jumped out at me. I didn't even realize that, but ranks third in WAR among third baseman behind only Mike Schmidt and Eddie Matthews. And you read the numbers and his accolades of the Gold Gloves and everything, but one of the best, and to me, a lock-in, Adrian, without a doubt. Heck, yes.
Tyler, I don't even need to come to you for your answer. I already know it.
Listen, there's no doubt in my mind that Beltre is a Hall of Famer here. We said that he's 18th in hits. All 17 players that are ahead of him are either in or will be in shortly. The only 2 players that are not in that are going to be eligible soon are Miguel Cabrera, who is just retired this season. He'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 5 years. And Albert Pujols, who retired last year, who will be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 4 years. The only other person on this list is a world-class scumbag, and we know who it is. It's the all-time hits leader.
We got some yeses in the chat
Adrian
also,
Beltre,
for sure.
definitely a Hall of Famer. Next up on the list, Bartolo Colon. My gut says close, but no.
I say yes for the Big Sexy.
He is Big Sexy.
I think late in his career helped for sure, but finished with 247 wins, won a Cy Young, career ERA 4.12. A little high, but I would go in on him. Yeah,
right,
I'd
Tyler?
say for sure yes.
What do you got?
No.
Gut check.
My gut says no. I think he had a really good
long career.
Yeah, 2 pieces of a career too. Hard thrower, good stuff in the early portions of his career. Good year with the White Sox, good year with the Angels, and then reinvented himself late into his career and pitched well into his 40s. But I think he's one of those compilers, and I think his stats are because he pitched for so long. I'm going to say no.
And I do think that is something though that longevity of a career that does help become a Hall of Famer. So I think for that reason I can see it.
So we're all unanimous with no.
Oh, I said yes.
No,
Renee said yes.
I said yes.
I'm sorry. One yes,
doesn't
2
listen
no's.
to me. You never listen when I talk.
No, I do listen. Next up, Adrian Gonzalez. My gut says no.
I'm actually a no on that as well.
Tyler?
This one took me a really long time to come to a decision on, and when I think you have that opportunity, you have to go no. Adrian Gonzalez had a really nice career.
Really nice.
I think he's on the outside looking in. I'm going to say
in the Hall of very, very
Hall
good.
of really good.
That's my thought
I'm going to say no. One of the all-time great starts to a season, but he hit 9 home runs in the first 4 games in 1 year.
Yeah. All right, next up, who is another guy I think is in the Hall of very, very good. My vote is a no. Matt Holliday. Longtime Rocky and Cardinal. Obviously beat the Phillies in 2009 or 2010. Son of a bitch. What is your vote, Renee?
Yes, because as a 7-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, won a World Series, won a batting title, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, winning a World Series in general catapult you. And I think Holiday is going to be a Hall of Famer. Also was an MVP runner-up in 2007.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got a lot of accolades. I think he's cemented himself.
Tyler, I'm curious on your answer here.
Matt Holiday was really freaking good for a really long time.
All these players are really good.
And I think
Except
that
James
I
Shields,
feel like I almost undervalue him at this point. My gut said no, and now I'm looking at the numbers, and it's close. Almost 2,100 hits,
Yeah.
300 average for his career. I'm going to say no, but he may be one of those players that gets in on like a veterans committee ballot late into his career.
Next one up on the list for the class this year is Victor Martinez. I feel like a baseball writer all of a sudden. I say close, but no.
You're all the no's.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's a Hall of Fame.
I actually did say no on this one too, though. I just don't think there's enough. I mean, he was cool. He was ambidextrous. Cool. He was, no.
Could
it's
play
just
first and could play catcher.
Yeah, but it's no.
Yeah, Tyler, what's your gut here?
Vimar was a nice player, but it's a no for me.
Yeah. Next up on the list, and we have a graphic for this guy. He was from Minnesota. He ended up playing for the Twins. He was, again, a first baseman, a catcher, a pure hitter, a power hitter. Guy was phenomenal, 15 years in the league. A career 306 hitter with a 388 on base. For a catcher, he was the best in the game for a time. Only had that 143 RBIs, but again, a catcher, numbers are a little different from them. He did win the AL MVP in 2009, which definitely goes a long way. 3-time Gold Glove winner, 5-time Silver Slugger, hit 20 or more doubles in 13 of 14 seasons. That's pretty wild for a guy his size. Joe Mauer, my gut says yes, but I could be swayed the way. My gut says yes.
Finally got a yes from you, Simon Cowell.
But I think he's in.
Okay, he's in for me. You look across Joe's career and some of the things that jump out at me. For his career WAR, he finished 9th among all players who played at least half their games at catcher in career WAR. The 8 in front of him are all Hall of Famers, and the 2 right behind him are as well. He also won 3 batting titles and had a remarkable 3.65 average with the Twins in 2009 when he won MVP. And no players hit that high of an average since. I would say yes on Mauer.
All right,
I think
we're 2
he's
for
done
2.
enough.
There are two players in my lifetime that I will fist fight people to induct into the Hall of Fame, and Joe Mauer is one of them.
Punches.
Joe Mauer is a stone cold lock Hall of Famer for me. The other one is Andrew Jones. I think that the fact that he is getting disrespected the way that he is in the first year of the ballot is crazy as well. Joe Mauer ranks 9th amongst catchers all time in hits. All those numbers provide you. He was a gaps hitter. Him and Buster Posey were revelations in a time where I was hard pressed to find catchers who could do both. Could play both sides of the ball really well. He was a defensive stalwart. He was a great gaps hitter, 300 plus average over the course of his career. I will throw hands to defend Joe Mauer.
Look at us, 3 for 3.
Yes.
Joe Mauer gets in on the PHLY Phillies podcast. All right, let's buzz through these. Brandon Phillips, that's a stone no for me. I just don't think it was long enough. Renee, what do you say?
It was a maybe for me. I don't know. I could be swayed no, but I could see him being in as a 3-time All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover.
3-time All-Star, that's not enough.
Tyler,
sorry. I just wanted to buzz through these.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, listen, that dude was really good. He's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I agree. This one surprises me, but he's probably eligible. Big Game James, James Shields, no.
Cute nickname.
Yeah.
Led the league for 4 seasons and triples. Injuries. It's a no, unfortunately, despite all the.
Yeah, Tyler, you're also a no on Big Game James.
Cool.
Yes, this one I think is pretty interesting. Jose Reyes was right there with Jimmy Rollins as one of the best shortstops in the league for a long time. I'm not going to hold the putrid franchise he played for against him. I am going to say no, but I think it's damn close. Renee, what do you say on Jose Reyes?
I would go no as well.
Yeah, it's probably a no for me. I think the longevity hurts him.
Yeah.
The injuries hurt too.
Yeah. The last 2 on the list, one is another Met, and this is a no for me. David Wright. I think the injuries kind of affected him in the later portion of his career. I don't think he has the longevity. David Wright is a no from me. What do you say?
No. If we're looking at the healthy part of his career, maybe, but back injuries and everything, and a shortened career now, unfortunately.
David Wright closer than his teammate Jose Reyes, but I don't think he's in either.
Yeah, and then the last one, of course, near and dear to our hearts, Chase Utley. I do think Utley is eventually going to get in. My gut says yes because his career WAR numbers are pretty incredible, and I think that carries a lot of weight in today's day and age.
I'm going to say yes. Controversial. I know not everybody's going to feel the same way about
Doesn't have the
Chase.
MVP that Jimmy and Ryan did.
No, doesn't.
But I think, oddly, he might have the best chance of those three.
I do think that core peaks part of Chase's career, especially, of course, being involved in helping to win a World Series. It's Chase Utley's going to be a goal. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
And Tyler, what do you say on Mr. Utley?
Not until Jimmy Rollins gets in.
I agree that Jimmy's more deserving, but I think Chase is going to have a better case in the analytical world.
I don't disagree with you. I think that it depends on how many of these writers are voting analytically versus like the eye test. Like the eye test tells me Jimmy Rollins is a better player than Chase Utley. You could use all these WAR and advanced metrics to tell you that Utley's a better player than Rollins. But I would say if I were to have a vote, Rollins would be the only one from that team that would get in. Utley would not for me.
All right. So that is the modern class that just got announced this week. So I wanted to buzz through. I always love the gut check time. And then you go back and you're like, oh, wait, was I too hard? Was I too friendly? And then you kind of dive into baseballreference.com and have some fun with it. So as we are wrapping up here today, Renee, we have to get to your favorite game.
Do we?
I love watching you get tortured while you try and dissect what stadium is what. Ooh.
Oh, my gosh. Tyler, you always put up on the screen so fast.
I am. All right. I'm going to double check my guess, but I have my guess.
Oh, boy.
And
I feel like I know it.
That right field line is telling me something. Renee, don't look since we're allowed to cheat now.
We're not cheating.
We're not. What do you call this then?
Using our resources.
Oh, using the resources. Okay. I just want to double check my gut, but I usually just shoot from the hip. But now that we're cheating, I want to double since I can consult my research.
All the disclaimers. Welcome in to Guess That Ballpark, where Jamie likes to make up excuses.
No, now that I know cheating's allowed.
He's losing.
Wow,
I'm up 3-2.
Come on, where the hell is this field? I just want to double check my work.
I want to go either White Sox. That's a very distinct.
That is not my gut's guess, for the record. Yes, I am going to stick with what my gut said, and I am going to say Chavez Ravine and Dodger Stadium. And I didn't consult the picture long enough. I wish I had.
Nope, you're locked in.
Yeah, I'm locked in.
Wait,
and I don't. It might be another old stadium now that I think about it, but. Yeah. Now I'm doubting myself. Damn it.
I don't know.
Chavez Ravine
I'm
and
not
Dodger
gonna lie.
Stadium.
I can't even figure this one out with all of my resources.
That right field is very interesting.
It does kind of look like Dodger Stadium, but I don't know if I'm allowed to have the same answer as you.
It could also be another stadium in California.
You absolutely can have the same answer if you feel that that's the right answer.
That's not it. It's not it. Gosh, that's a really distinct shape.
It is. I'm going to put the 1 minute clock on the board.
Oh, my gosh.
I think 1 minute's more than enough time, Tyler. Don't you think?
All right, whatever.
I certainly think so.
Yeah.
Wow, it's already over the time anyways. All right.
It's the right field.
That's super distinct.
I wonder if it's a stadium that has a big Coke bottle in it.
Chicago? I don't think it's that sharp as the White Sox. This is hard. This is a really tough one.
MBD seems very confident.
I'm not looking at the chat.
Oh,
because I don't want you guys saying I'm cheating.
She's turned her back on you.
No, because yesterday the chat and I got it together, and some people were salty because
you're using two ways to cheat now instead of just one.
It's not cheating. Did we do Progressive Field yet?
I hate my answer.
No,
now.
we have not done.
Change.
We've not done Cleveland
I'm
yet.
going Progressive Field. I think
Progressive Field. Final answer.
We locked in. We're going Cleveland and LA. Is that what we're going with?
I know I'm wrong now. All of a sudden.
Oh wait.
I would say you have about 15 seconds left.
I could see Wrigley.
Dang
it. Oh, that's a tough one.
Tariq Bailey feels very confident in what
There's
you
a
just
couple
said.
of people in the chat that are very
It does
confident
look
in their
very
answers
much
today.
like
Are the
Wrigley,
confident
but Wrigley
people
doesn't seem
correct?
as narrow.
I'm not going to give you that answer.
Yeah.
Renee
Wait,
has locked in
okay,
yet.
give
All
me
right,
5
final answer.
seconds. Give me
Final
5
answer.
seconds. I'm gonna go.
Say it, Renee.
I can't.
Listen, I'm gonna go. Does not buy you more time.
Wait, have you heard the correct answer? Have you heard the correct answer, Tyler?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm stuck between Wrigley
It's
and
either
I
me
know
or
whatever
MBD.
I pick is going to be wrong, but I actually want to kind of go progressive, but everybody seems to think it's Wrigley.
All right, you're locked
Final
in.
answer.
Oh no,
Are
I
you-
can't. Okay, it's progressive.
MBD was right. Damn it. I knew it was an old-timey stadium. For some reason, I thought Los Angeles really cut in.
I should have
Congrats.
went with Wrigley.
Tyreek and MBD felt really strong about it in the chat. That was definitely an old school stadium. So good guesses, everyone. Thanks for participating.
Type of a loopity-loop.
This game is absolute torture.
Wrigley seems a little less narrow behind.
I love these old stadiums where they're like, well, we got this vacant lot on the corner. Let's just build something.
Make a baseball field fit in there, please.
That hurts. That hurts.
That does hurt because I've now missed on Wrigley.
I could have taken a nice 2-game lead.
Yeah, and Fenway.
Good job, everybody that guessed Wrigley Field correctly.
Yeah.
You all get a point. We need to do like we'll do standings for the chat. I think the chat always
the chat's
gets
currently winning of you guys.
All
Now,
right.
granted, there's a lot of people
That's
and
fine.
a lot of minds,
they
but
definitely
the
got
chat is
as a
winning.
collective every single one right.
Yeah.
It's been a different person.
MBD says that's the first one I ever got. I'm still
Congratulations,
terrible.
MBDBDBF. And everybody, I know Tyreek Bailey was saying it. A lot of you were saying it. But gosh, that's tough.
Dave P is right about the shallow left field, but I was so hyper focused on that right field. I hate myself, but I don't hate all of you for hanging out with us on this podcast and here on YouTube daily.
And you guys are all heroes because you got things correctly. And you know where else you can be a hero? That's Hero Bread. That's right, guys. Because over at Hero Bread, you can eat delicious fluffy bread, sliced bread, rolls, tortillas, whatever it is you're looking to bite and sink your teeth into. This holiday season, Hero Bread's got you covered. Now over at Hero Bread, it's high fiber, ultra low net carbs, also 0 gram sugar per slice, and it's got fewer calories than the leading national brand. So head on over to Hero Bread, and this holiday season, make sure you're eating delicious bread that also is going to help whatever your lifestyle is, diets, allergies, don't worry about it. Hero Bread's got you covered. So go over to hero.co, use that code PHLY, be able to get 10% off of your purchase, and eat healthy and eat delicious at Hero Bread. You guys are all heroes in my book, sending you hearts.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your friends and family. And we hope all of you have a great Thanksgiving holiday. Renee, the same to you and your family. Tyler, to you and yours. I hope everybody has a day in some comfy sweatpants, full bellies, hearty laughs. Hopefully the football games don't suck. We got some college basketball going on. We got a lot of stuff. I'm not going to torment myself about missing Wrigley Field, but this is a game I do enjoy.
You know what? I feel better when I get it wrong and you also get it wrong.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it makes me feel a lot
That's
better.
fair.
I don't like when I get it wrong and you get it right.
Yeah, I get that.
But I'm happy for the chat because you guys absolutely collectively was a team win for you. And I'm also want to just remind you guys that we do have a nice Thanksgiving special coming your way tomorrow that you guys can check out that Jamie and I are going to have recorded for you. So you can check out our Thanksgiving special. But from us at PHLY, we hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving, and we thank you so much for being a part of our wacky, wonky family.
Yeah, and we will be back on Black Friday live at 11:30 here on the channel. And don't forget that Black Friday shop, Black Friday sale on our all PHLY locker room shop starts on Friday. So you can take advantage of that if you're looking for some comfy gear. And again, we appreciate and love all of you. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Gobble, gobble.
We are family.
And I will not be singing. But I hope you and your families have a great one. And we'll see you on Friday.
Gobble, gobble. Let's see your gobble, gobble.
We all silly like the mayor.